All right, we are live. You know what it is. It's Heart Doha Podcast coming to you back in Ramadan. Today we have Muhssin and Bary from Washington, D.C., back and forth in Doha. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship, fitness, business, startups, and how to be a millionaire. How's it going, guys?
Doing good. Thank you for having us on the show.
Yeah,
it's great to be here. Thanks for having us today.
All right, we're open for everybody. This is the Heart Doha Podcast, getting all the interesting people, going all the interesting places, talking about all the interesting stuff in here. So, what is it, guys, you do every day in Ramadan here in Qatar?
So for Ramadan, we're on a unique schedule. We're fasting at the same time we're working, and we're working on in Doha time, and we're working back in the U.S. time. So we tend to, be working around the clock.
Oh, this is awesome. So how is fasting in the U.S.? Maybe some people would be interested.
So fasting in the U.S. is actually pretty interesting. It's currently a very long day. So typically in Washington, D.C., where we're at, the sun sets at around 8:30. So we start from about 4:30 to 8:30. So it's a really long day, and it takes a toll on the body, but it's not as hot as it is here. So like anything, after the first couple of days, you start to generate a rhythm and routine, and it becomes manageable.
And how many hours in the U.S. is it, right?
I think it's about 14, 15 hours.
So it's about the same.
Yeah.
Well, fasting is a mindset. Yeah, I think it's the mind can do so much if you actually program it in the right way.
Awesome.
So I always believe fasting, if it actually puts a burden on you and you're tired and you're exhausted, I think it's because we've conditioned our mind to think, oh my gosh, I don't have food. Well, because I don't have food, I'm weaker, and because I'm weaker, I can't work harder. Yeah. And it's just it tricks a lot of us thinking, well, let me just take it easy today. Let me just sleep more, work less because I'm fasting. The reality of it is we shouldn't be eating all the food that we typically eat, normally. And I think the amount of food that every time after Ramadan, I tell myself, man, I don't need all this extra food.
But you need all of this coffee, right?
Yeah, the coffee, but I don't need this food during the day, as much as the way we should be eating. So I think a lot of fasting, I've discovered, it's a mental state of mind. And it's an opportunity to get mental toughness of you can do it, you can still function, you can still go to work, you can still go to the gym and work out. And I think having that positive attitude of fasting versus making you feel lazier, in fact, is to make you feel, you can actually do things better.
Oh, that's awesome. So this is where Bounce Fitness comes from?
So Bounce Fitness is a business that we started in Washington, D.C. That Bary started as a master certified trainer in the fitness space, and he started off working at a fitness center, being a master certified trainer, and within the first couple of months, he was the top person selling personal training in the gym.
Awesome.
And the only other person that
in the East Coast,
East Coast,
yeah,
right. And the only other person that had sold more was someone that was there for 15 years. And at the time, Bary started talking to a lot of his clients, and he started noticing that there's a lot of them stopped showing up to the gym. And he kept on asking them, well, why aren't you guys coming to the gym anymore? And they're like, I just don't have time. It's just not, I have a busy schedule. And then Bary mentioned to them, well, what if I came to you and we trained at your house? And they told him, Bary, if you did that, you would make my life so much easier. And then that's how it started. Bary started training clients, not in the gym, but in their homes. And slowly, one after the other, he got a full schedule, and then started hiring a few more trainers and started filling up their schedules, really about making the exercise and the exercise journey convenient for the
So
clients.
this is the aha moment, as they call it.
Exactly. The aha moment was when the client, told me, if you came to me, you would change my life. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, I'm coming to you. and that's when it all began. At the same time, Muhssin was doing his MBA at Northwestern, and that's when we put our heads together and to really create the business plan for Bounce Fitness. And then after growing that in the DC Metro, we're able to open up here in Doha and run a very similar model where it's in-home personal training, but we've also added on the youth programs here in Qatar.
Awesome. What is the youth program?
So the youth programs is offering activities for the youth, everything from gymnastics, ballet, martial arts, and even getting into some educational programming as well that we offer at convenient locations for kids. So within large housing communities, in multi-purpose halls, in the clubhouses where they live, and even at schools, offering the after-school programs at the schools, really making the fitness convenient for the youth. And that's really something that's important as we see the trends in terms of obesity and diabetes at the youth. Really being preventative and getting the youth active at a young age is so important.
I feel there is a lot of awareness about diabetes in kids and obesity. The other day I read an article. It says, it's an American article that says that America is not the number one in children obesity anymore, and guess what is it? And it was a shocker that it is Qatar. So education is very essential in this field. So Bounce Fitness and sendmeatrainer.com are the same venture, or are they two separate brands?
So we ran Bounce Fitness for about 10 years, and as we started to think about how do we now scale the business and to really expand into multiple markets and to expand the footprint much larger, really trying to identify what is that big opportunity, how do you scale? Really cracking down and thinking about how do you scale a business is really how you can take it to the next level. And that's where we realized that the best way to run the business in terms of connecting personal trainers and individuals is through online apps and marketplaces that can really make the whole process convenient, where you have investing in the technology to make the process faster and do that connectivity faster.
And that was in 2008, 2007?
So 2016, so just about 2 years ago, we started with developing the concept of by growing with the mobile apps. Started then, and over the past year and a half, we've been actually developing the mobile apps and the concepts behind that, and we'll be launching the mobile app soon for Send Me a Trainer.
That's awesome. So your personal trainer is one click away, as they say.
Exactly. I think of the Uber for personal training. You can connect with the local trainer just within a few clicks of a button.
That's awesome. And they provide nutrition advice.
And each trainer can actually tag themselves based off different specialties. So if nutrition is definitely one of my top categories that I specialize in as a trainer, the viewer will be able to have that visibility on what are my key skill sets as a trainer.
So talking about business in general, how did you guys find the difference between a business model that is applied in the US, and how did you guys see the opportunity in Qatar and maybe tweaked that business model to fit Qatar? So I think you guys went through this process, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the time, we were running Bounce Fitness in the US, and at the same time, I was actually here, from 2008, working with Q Invest, working on a private equity portfolio, making investments in the region in Qatar. And in 2012, when Qatar won the rights to host the World Cup, that's when it became very clear that there was a sports and fitness culture that was going to be very strong, and that was the future of one of the key industries here in Qatar. And that's when I told Bary, this is what's happening in Qatar. We've got to set up Bounce Fitness here as well. It's a great opportunity. The market is ripe for it. And that's when we launched. So we launched Bounce Fitness in 2012, initially with the in-home personal training model. And the model in the U.S. predominantly relied on freelance trainers. So we had a vast network of freelance trainers that they could either train once a week or 10 times a week or 100. It was really up to the freelance market. And when we came to Qatar to launch it, in terms of adapting the business model to here, it became clear that in terms of the supply of trainers was limited. So we actually had to have a different model where we also hired full-time trainers that we actually brought from abroad, from the US, from Europe, from all parts of the world, that we actually hired them and brought full-time trainers here to start, to provide the service, to keep up with the demand. So that was how we shifted the model to hiring full-timers versus relying on freelancers, because of the market, supported, required to us to bring full-time trainers in. So that was one example of how the model adopted here. So we started hiring full-time trainers. We also then, started to see the demand here in the market was actually coming also from the youth side. So the youth programs is something that we actually started here, not in the U.S., because of the demand was coming to us here. We identified that there are these facilities in clubhouses where there wasn't much activity being done, and that is also unique to this part of the world, where you have the compounds with large communities, gated communities with clubhouses, and that was an opportunity that
and it captured audience who lived in the compound.
Train in groups.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So what kind of sports, like basketball, MMA, as you said, gymnastics? That's awesome.
Gymnastics, swimming, ballet, martial arts, those are definitely top categories that the youth typically are seeking to participate in.
Oh, so that's awesome. And then you guys come from the background. So what is the story of you guys? So I see that you are guys from Palestine, living in the US, now in the Gulf, maybe going back and forth, maybe half the globe.
Yeah. So my dad's originally Palestinian, and he got his PhD in Boulder, Colorado, CU Boulder, and my mom also got her PhD there, and they got married there in Boulder, and that's where we were born, and actually is in Boulder. But my dad always took us every year, actually, to Mecca every year, and that's where we actually grew up speaking Arabic and practicing our Arabic on those trips, particularly for survival, negotiating our shawarmas. So that gave us a good connection, and also that got us coming to the region on a regular basis, and that just materialized. And then Muhssin got his job.
So growing up, we were always, because our father is Palestinian, our mother is American. Came on the Mayflower to America, and is one of the first families in America. We've always felt that we have this unique mixed identity to help bridge the two parts of the world, to help bridge the Middle East and America in terms of the culture, or in terms of just building bridges between them, building those linkages. So coming to the region and traveling to the region, growing up, visiting family and visiting extended friends, but always growing up in America, there was always a part of us that wanted to experience actually living in the region. And I had that opportunity after I finished up my MBA to come out here to join Q-Invest, to work in private equity, but also to experience living in Qatar and traveling the region and making investments in the region. And that was a great opportunity to be able to live here and also interact and live in this part of the world, to bridge
understand the culture.
To bridge the whole Arab American side of it as well. And that's what we continue to do at the moment. We see that there's a lot of opportunities that from the U.S. that can be brought here, and a lot of things that we see here that can also be taken to the U.S. And we see ourselves as being really at the crossroads of of those interactions and those conversations and those activities and those initiatives.
So this is awesome. So you guys are finding value in both communities and trying to combine them. And how did this influence your business, or as you as an intellect, and you as trying to, what did you find here in Qatar that was so obvious or so capture friendly so that you can send it in the US? I know the fitness culture is building, because the food culture is great. Yes. We're going to talk about food culture a lot in Heart Doha Podcast. So now you guys in the stage where you guys helping other startups, and you guys started Wolf Run Ventures.
Yes.
So what is a Wolf Run Venture? Where does this name comes from?
Well, we like wolves, and the street where where my mom lives is called Wolf Run Shoals Road, and so we got inspiration from that, and just to be an entrepreneur today, you have to have a wolf mindset, especially in the startup side.
Awesome. What is the wolf mindset? Hashtag wolf mindset.
And it's you have to be willing, and you have to be hungry, and you have to be wild, and be prepared to do things that you're not normally willing to do. So now you have to do, and it's staying up late, do your research, taking those extra steps that we sometimes are lacking. And the wolf's mindset is prepared to do anything to survive. And I think if you're determined enough to do something, it'll be easier for you to do that. And that's where we get the inspiration from the wolf.
Oh, that's awesome. So the wolf mindset, did you trademark this?
Not yet. That's a good idea.
I think you should. It's gonna trend someday about the wolf mindset. So tell me, how did the wolf mindset get you through with the Bounce Fitness? Because I'm sure the Bounce Fitness didn't click from the first time.
Yeah, I think when I first started, I was working at the gym, and now we're just, in the beginning stages of Bounce Fitness. It was me training all the clients, and I had to market myself. And I remember telling myself, at the same time, by the way, I was about to get married very soon. So I was trying to establish myself better, and I was trying to make sure Bounce Fitness was going to succeed so I could support my family and get married. So I had very high incentives, let's put it that way. and at that time, I realized getting clients, the typical approach, the way a trainer would get a client is, someone would join the gym as a member, and as a member, you would have one free session with one of the trainers. And that's how the majority of trainers would get their clients. But I did not just rely on that component. I had to take additional steps to grow my client base, especially in the beginning. And I even went as far as going across the street into my sister's apartment complexes and either other local apartments. And I would even sneak into some apartments and just go knock on doors. Hey, how you doing? My name is Bary. I'm a personal trainer. Have you ever worked with a trainer before? Great. There's a gym downstairs. Let me give you one free session on me. Are you interested? To be like, oh, sure, great. And I got a few clients just by doing that.
What do they call it? Door to door salesman,
Exactly. And then I even took it a step further. I was like, okay, that's working. Then I said, why don't I saw, you see like in DC, and you see in very often someone holding a yard sign, like a lot of homeless people will hold a yard sign, need help. And you see other businesses also holding yard signs. So I decided to make a yard sign saying one free personal training session, and I had my phone number. And I literally would sit in the very high traffic intersection in Tyson's Corner in Virginia. And I would hold that sign, and I would wave to people. I'm like, you got to work out, call me. And people would laugh, and, believe it or not, I got some of my best clients that way. So it's definitely, if it's growing, getting new clients, you cannot just expect people to come knock on your door. You have to be prepared to do the desperate things in the beginning that you're probably going to be out of your comfort zone. You have to be prepared to do those desperate things in the beginning just to get a client base. Once you get a client base and you learn what works, then you can scale that up.
So this is where the wolf came to life.
Yes. It's survival at the end of the day.
It's the tenacity to be willing to do things that are required that you normally wouldn't be comfortable doing to get where you need to go. And that's what's required at those early stages when you're starting something up or building momentum.
It's like making a fire. From the back in the stone old days where you have the stick and you have to just rub it and you're getting blisters on your hands. Can you imagine telling someone, let's go camping today, and tell them, well, by the way you're going to make your own fire?
We don't do that.
Exactly. You have matches. It's just throw that in there. So I think it's a filter of how. Are you willing to get your hands dirty?
So this is where the hardest stages in a startup or a person.
Yes.
Well, that's really inspiring. So what is Wolfram? So what is the Wolf theory now that you guys are trying to educate people?
One of our missions with Wolfram Ventures is we understand that the majority of startups fail. And the reason why they fail is because they don't have the right strategy, they don't have the right growth hacks, they don't have the right marketing plans.
Growth hacks.
Yeah.
You should hashtag it and trademark it. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a hot subject.
Yeah.
It's a hot subject.
About growth hacks, guys.
And just to give you a definition of growth hacking.
Yes.
So growth hacking is basically a new modern way to grow your business that does not require heavy capital. So it's affiliations, partnerships, different ways you can go about things is very lean on costs. And so you have to be very creative on how you're going to penetrate certain aspects of your marketing plan.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because the easy way to market is, of course, you do Facebook ads, you do Google ads, you pay influencers, all that kind of stuff. So that's traditional marketing, but also, what do you do if you don't have that budget?
Hold the sign and go into the street.
Exactly. Get ready to go after it.
So what we identified in our own journey in terms of Balance Fitness and Send Me a Trainer is that in the early stages of a business, there's really a lack of support for entrepreneurs to help them get where they need to go. And even as we started seeing now, there's been more incubators that are popping up, and what we've identified also in our own conversations with other entrepreneurs that we see at conferences and that we interact with is that a lot of these incubators, they provide, let's say, office space and maybe some mentorship, but what the entrepreneurs are telling us is that they actually need support in actually producing material, like helping actually produce the business plan, helping with strategy, helping put the financial models together and their forecast and their go-to-market strategies. And it's almost like there's an element of their team, like they need the partners, they need co-founders to help them produce this. And that's where we see the opportunity with Wolfram Ventures now, is really getting in at the earlier stage with entrepreneurs to actually get hands-on with them.
So you guys get your hands dirty with the entrepreneurs involved.
We roll up our sleeves, we have sessions with them, we help them produce this material, we work on their business plan with them, we work on their projections and their marketing strategy to give them that support to be ready for their next phase. And that's where we've seen the biggest opportunity based off of these entrepreneurs and the conversations that they're having with us. So we want to get involved at an earlier stage to really provide that support and hands-on to help build those businesses, almost as part of the co-founding team, partners with them for the long run.
So what is the drive that makes you guys want to do this Wolfram? What is the purpose?
Yeah, well, it's actually something that it came to us, just by us being entrepreneurs and us being, leaders in entrepreneurship, just around our community. People would always ask us questions. Hey, I have a startup and, I need some help. Do you have any ideas? And we would mentor a few startups, and they would give us good feedback. Like, you know what, your insights has been very helpful. You really made me look at things from a new angle that I wasn't looking at it from before. And we went to several conferences as well. And, just by going to the conferences and engaging with startups, we definitely got our validation. It's clear for us that, we could be of a great value to new startups who are just really getting going.
So you guys get people ready to fundraise. So how can I fundraise for myself? Let's say that I have an idea. Let's put it into your...
well, I guess the first question, are you looking for what type of fundraising you're looking for? If you're looking for just some seed, and typically seed is to kind of get your idea, starting to get your idea to life. And once you have enough momentum going in validation, once you have that clear validation, you have your metrics in order, and that's where you have to understand, what are you looking to get out of seed? So if you're going to go to an investor or you're going to raise some seed money, you should know how much you need that will get you enough to validate your idea.
So they call it the seed round.
The seed round, correct.
What is the potential outcome from the seed round? Like if you kind of put it into like small objectives.
So if we're talking about a tech investment, a tech idea, versus let's say a traditional brick and mortar business, in the tech space, a seed investor, a seed round is before there is any working product, before there's any revenue. It's at this point just an idea, and the purpose of the seed investor and the seed amount is to really develop a basic product, what they call a minimum viable product, an MVP, that you can start using that to just validate that the idea is right, that you have the right idea, and that there's an appetite and that there's a market there for that idea. So establishing in that product, the first version of your product, and identifying that indeed, validating that there is a need there. That's really the purpose of the seed. A lot of times, entrepreneurs think that the life cycle of a company, they just need to raise funds once, and then it will be enough for the rest of the company. But really, it's usually a multiple round of investments, with the first one being the seed to validate the idea. And once the product has been developed and once the market has been identified, you've almost de-risked it at that point. So the risk level has gone down substantially at that point, and now it warrants to spend more time and more investment on taking that idea to the next level.
Yeah, I think there is a problem there, because most of the people who start businesses are not coming from business background. They come from engineering, they come from education, and they are really passionate about their startup, about their ideas. But to have the mentorship, to have the assistance that someone puts those ideas into tangible steps that produces tangible output, I think that's what people need right now. So the Wolf Run Fitness, what is the opportunities that you see here in Qatar are really up for the grabs? What are the sectors that are growing? What is the opportunity? We know that there is a 2022 World Cup. As you said, there is the fitness culture, and there is the growing real estate and the construction business. So what are the opportunities that you guys see up for grabs in the businesses today?
That's a very good observation, and one of the things that we see in Qatar is that the population has been increasing substantially, and with the rise in population, you start to see the demand and the need for consumer-related businesses. And consumer can be everything from F&B, fitness in the space that we're in, even education, as well as even larger things like healthcare and infrastructure. The spaces that we really enjoy are those that include marketplaces, two-sided marketplaces, where you have on one side, let's say, a provider, a vendor. In our case, in semi-trainer, it's the fitness professionals, and on the other side, the users, and where you connect them through some sort of a marketplace to really expand and to grow that. So we see that the need for marketplace technologies in the consumer space is something that we like a lot. So everything from even the fitness side, even now tutoring, right? A lot of the kids in their youth, as they looking to go through that, they're looking for extra support when it comes to tutoring. How do you find the best tutors and provide that educational support to help them be successful as well? So these are some of the ideas that we see at the moment. The consumer space is where we see that's a space that can easily be penetrated with limited capital as well, to get some traction on that side.
It's really anything that makes people's lives easier. And I think the convenience space is definitely a space that will always grow and become more demanding. How do you connect people faster? How do you get a plumber to your house faster? How do you get a trainer or a tutor? That's why Amazon is doing so well, is just, they get you could order things online, and within a few clicks of a button, it's within 2 days, it's right there in front of your door.
Yeah, the Amazon is going crazy, actually. I use Amazon for everything. Sometimes I feel lazy to go and grab it by my hand, and I order it by Amazon.
So I think it's understanding human nature. And I think the more we can understand human nature, then the more we can tap into, the startup needs to tap into that human nature and be part of that.
So let's say that you mentioned something about a lot of startups fail. Why?
Well, I would say a lot of startups fail is because they don't, number one, understand what they're getting themselves into. And they don't take the extra time. If you're running a startup and you're watching TV at night, there's something wrong with that, in my opinion.
All right.
You know, if you're running a startup and you're still hanging out with your friends and playing cards, there's something wrong with that. Because guess what? There's some other startup who's trying to kick your ass down the street, and while you're watching TV, he's doing more research and he's, learning your business better, and he's going to beat you to the market. So I think the biggest mistake that startups do is they don't know what it takes to succeed. They're still hanging out with their friends, playing cards. They're still going out. It's 24/7. You have to sacrifice. You can even tell your family and your wife and your kids, guys, I'm running a startup. I'm going to try to spend as much time with you, but please understand, in this next few months, I need your support with what I'm going to need to be doing. And you may say, well, there's that much to do, at 12 o'clock at night. Well, 12 o'clock at night, you should be reading. You should find the next book that's going to give you the right insights and the right competitive advantage that maybe other people aren't willing to
click it. All right, sorry to cut your flow.
No worries. So you got to be willing to put the time in, but also put smart time in.
Oh, that's awesome. So smart time.
Yes. So I believe from doing your due diligence, from understanding the opportunity, validating the opportunity, taking the extra time to actually getting people's feedback on your idea. So go to the mall, talk to strangers. Most people are afraid, to talk to strangers. But actually, talking to strangers could be, you never know who you're going to run into. And you don't know what type of insights that you're going to get from them.
Yeah, this is where you guys teach us the elevator pitch. And I see that the most awkward place to start a conversation is in the elevator. So how did the elevator pitch come to life? So what is the concept behind it? And does it really work in cultures like this?
Yeah, well, so, is the elevator pitch important? I would say absolutely. Why? Because you have to be able to articulate your idea and the opportunity in a very short, simple period of time, 30 seconds or less. And if you could do that in a very short period of time, you're going to at least capture people's interest, and they're going to want to have that second conversation.
Really? Muhssin, have you ever pitched something in an elevator?
We have. In an elevator, we have pitched something in an elevator as practice. As really just practice.
And so go from the ground floor to the 6th floor.
Yeah, and just run your very good interview process.
Spiel, and I actually remember when we were actually hiring some of our fitness directors here in Qatar. Part of it is what we did is we took them to the mall and we told them, you have to go up to a random stranger and pitch your personal training services. Go. And that was the training and the interview process to get them comfortable with what they're going to need to do to be a self-starter, to pitch their services. And it's getting people out of their comfort zone is what it is. Is that learning how to be comfortable, when you're uncomfortable, and making that the new norm. Is and that's what that is. When you're in an elevator in a confined space and you need to talk to some random stranger, you're stepping out of your shell, and that's what's needed to really be successful and to be able to promote what you're working on and to engage with people.
It's courageous, it's
the wolf mindset.
Exactly. It's fear. I think the reason we don't do a lot of things is because we're under the spell of fear. Oh, what if I ask this girl to marry me and she says no? So I'm not even going to ask her, What if I start my business and I fail publicly, then all my friends and family are going to think I'm idiots. You know, what if I start a business and it's not a good idea? Meaning the idea of fear can go on why we should not do something. And I think the more we focus on the fear factor, the more we're going to really think logically, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. You know, and you got to get comfortable taking risk. And the more you take risk, the better you get at taking risk. So I always encourage, even with my children, take risks, fail miserably, you know, fail a lot. And all you really need to do is just, you know, get it right a few times. And that few times is what's going to really take you to that next level. And failing is experience. The more you fail in different aspects of it, the more experience you've learned. So I think as a society, we have this misconception of this person's a failure. But failure today is actually valuable experience. That's the better word for it, or the better way to put it. And I think we should be out to fail more frequently and more often and more rapidly, you know, versus thinking how many times you succeed, and fail more, because you will ultimately, that will lead you to succeed.
That's awesome. I'm getting inspired right now. Our people are getting notes, get their notes ready right now.
No, it's just, I think you have two options. You can live on the offensive life, or you can live on the defensive life. And I think part of just a personality check, we should ask ourselves, what type of personality are we? Are we a offensive person, or are we a defensive person?
So what is an offensive person?
Well, I'll tell you one thing Qatar does really well on the road is they drive offensively.
Let's go.
I tell you that.
Survival of the
Yes, that's the best. I've never seen anything like the roads of here. You know?
Yeah, driving is really different, because when I went to the US and I started driving, I felt like I'm a monster.
Yes. Who is this guy?
You know? Yeah, and people were flipping me off on the road. So I was like, guys, I'm not gonna drive. So just get some civil. Let's try Uber. You know, let's try Uber. Because the other day I was driving and I stopped my car at the zebra crossing, and I didn't really know how furious people could be. I just stopped in the zebra crossing, guys.
Wow.
And people were like yelling at me, like doing me some signs.
Yeah.
So who's the defensive person in this situation? Who's the offensive?
Well, I think here what we realize when we actually cross the street, because we're custom in America, is we have the right of way.
The pedestrians, when you're walking?
Yes, we have the right of way if you're trying to cross the street. And here, if you try to do that, 9 out of 10 times the car actually starts to accelerate.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
And a few times we actually said, you know what, we're going to walk, and we told the guys, stop, stop.
No.
And we physically had to do that, you know? But I don't think that's, I wouldn't do that again, though.
You shouldn't try it every day.
Yeah, I don't recommend it here, you know?
Yeah, driving culture is people are trying to.
Yes.
Because the other day I heard the imam at the mosque. He said, guys, forget about the story I was telling you last week. Driving, guys. Let's drive. Let's get out of this mosque and drive like in the same mindset that we are here today. So going back to the offensive and the defensive, as an entrepreneur, should I be offensive or defensive?
I think it's definitely overall, we want to be more offense. Is it good to have a bit of defensive mechanisms in you? I wouldn't say defensive. I would say just do your research. Do your research. Understand what can happen and what can go wrong. And if it does go wrong or not according to your plan, what are you going to do when your business model doesn't work? So I would definitely say be offensive. Take the risk, go out there, do what you need to do, but at the same time, when things don't go your way, be prepared and have that plan from today versus, down the road.
So when you're on offense, you're really creating the tone and the tempo of which you want to operate at. You're not waiting for an opportunity to come your way. you're actually creating that opportunity. Versus on defense, you're reacting to an opportunity that comes your way. So especially in the early phases, having that tempo where you're out there and you're creating the opportunity is really a must. Because if you wait around for an opportunity, it may not show up. So it's about really, taking those initiatives, saying, hey, I'm going to go out, I'm going to knock on people's doors, I'm going to find that next opportunity, my next client, my next opportunity, and really making it happen.
Mm-hmm. And in the defense, getting ready, like getting trained, getting mentored every day.
It's, I would say, nurturing. It's you should be offensive mode, and you should be in nurture mode. Nurture mode, reading the books, nurturing your mind, allowing your opinion to evolve. And that's a difficult thing for entrepreneurs. So let's say you have a startup and then you start reading some books, and then as you read, you start maybe realizing maybe you need to evolve your business. But because some entrepreneurs are so, the ego gets in the way and things have to be the way they envision it versus with the feedback that they're getting from others, right? They reject that feedback and they only do what they personally think is the right thing. And that's when a lot of ego gets in the way. And I think the entrepreneur needs to nurture their mindset, nurture their opinion, and allow it to evolve based off the feedback they're getting from users and customers and the educational resources that they're currently affiliated with.
Mm-hmm. So about negative feedbacks, because there's a lot of types of negative feedback. Sometimes negative feedback is so depressive, leads to depression, and sometimes, as you said, it comes from customer. How can we differentiate and getting the negative feedback in order, as you said, to adapt or
Good question.
Evolve?
So I think it's taking feedback from, you need to identify your persona, because if I get feedback from different random people, but they're not my target audience, I'm not getting the right feedback from my target audience. And that's something important to understand. So it's getting feedback from your persona of who you actually trying to target exactly, what's their personality, what's the age, what are their hobbies, what type of lifestyle they live, what type of restaurants, they go to. And the more you understand your persona, those are the feedback that you're going to want to, when you get feedback from those personas, that becomes more valuable to you, and that's the best feedback for the entrepreneur to really listen to and evolve in that direction.
Keeping an objective mindset and when receiving feedback is also really important. And not to get emotional about it. I think that's the one of the main things is to kind of really put the emotions to side here, because an entrepreneur is really trying to find out what is the best opportunity in the market. And being objective with the feedback that comes in and being able to have the data, so keeping track of all the data, the volume of the feedback, what's consistent in the feedback that we're getting, what's not consistent, to see through the outliers, and that will really develop the right mindset in terms of what should I be doing next? What are the actions that I should take to work now based on the feedback that I'm getting that has been validated? So from a non-emotional perspective, remaining objective and validating it with the data, and allow that to shape the course of action that you're going towards next.
So the emotional side in the entrepreneur life is very important right now.
Yes.
So what is it when it comes to disruptive businesses or disruptive technology, where in the beginning everybody is rejecting the idea or rejecting the business model? How do you adjust with you, like getting a lot of feedback that says, oh, we've never seen that, right? Like, I would never invite a stranger to train me at home.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you guys adapt with this kind of feedback?
Well, it's just showing the user that what's possible. And I think once you create the right picture of, you can actually have a reliable, trustworthy trainer come to you, but focus on the outcome. Also, is the outcome is now you don't have to drive to the gym. You don't have to walk in the heat. It's the convenience of just staying at home. So the more you paint the picture to the user of the benefits that they will receive from your product and your services, the more they're going to start thinking, yes, I'm willing to take this and at least try it because the benefit outweighs the risk. Of actually
so it's all about communication of value.
Yes, like Steve Jobs always says, you have a very limited window on what you can communicate to your your users or your audience.
He used the word window, right?
Yeah, because people's you have to be very careful how you want to communicate your marketing channels to your users. How you want to, what exact words, what are the best words and simple words to effectively communicate yourself to the user. Because if you don't get the user to understand your product sooner than later, you're going to lose them in translation.
Mm-hmm. You're going to lose them when you guys don't explain your business right.
Yeah.
So did you come across those kind of things? What do you want from me? Like, why are you holding this sign? Like, I don't want to be fit. You think I'm fat? Or like
yeah. It happens. And again, it just comes back to making sure the users see the benefit and gaining the confidence and the trust from the user. And that's one thing we've always focused on in all aspects of business is just you have to have trust, and they have to know that this is a credible team that's actually going, that's behind this.
Going places. Yeah. So at Wallfront Ventures, we hear this word a lot, a VC. What is typically a VC? What does it do? At what stage we go to a VC?
So once you've kind of gotten seed funding, and the goal of seed funding is to really get your metrics in order. So understanding the costs of the cost per, the cost that's is understanding your metrics of how much are you getting, buying and selling your product for, and what's the profit margin and what the opportunity. So it's getting good visibility of what's happening in the business. Once you have good metrics in place that are appealing, now you can actually present that to other investors and take it to a VC fund and ask for a proper investment to really scale this business now. Because you've de-risked it and you have a proof of concept that's actually working versus, trying to scramble and figure out what's the best revenue model, what is the best, marketing channels. So typically the VC wants to see a lot of these answers already flushed out and have validation that this model works.
So a VC investor is what they call an institutional investor. So whereas from seed investors, those are typically just individuals, where it's family and friends or some high net worth individuals, where they are ultimately making a decision. The VC fund has an investment committee behind them. They've raised funds from different sources, and it's a lot more structured and formal process. So the process of getting an investment from a VC fund does require a lot of checks and a lot of questions and answers. You have to show a lot of documentation, and only entrepreneurs that have been able to prepare that during their seed round are the ones that are likely to get investors at the VC. Is this
like the Shark Tank TV show? So, is it like that?
Yeah, it's. I would say Shark Tank. A lot of it is seed.
A lot of it is seed, not scale up.
Well, it's you have a lot of startups that I would say some of them, there are more, because we have insights on a lot of those Shark Tank deals, and a lot of those deals don't make money. Unfortunately, the majority, we talked to a few of the sharks actually, and they're telling me, we're never going to see our money back on those deals. And so we realized the sharks are just on there for more PR purposes, and they just spend. So the deals that we see on Shark Tank are, there's a few deals that come out of them, but the majority of them I would say are extended seed, or maybe they're definitely not, because 50,000, 100,000, that's not really VC funding. There's too small of a ticket for a VC.
So VC can be talking about
VC typically starts around anywhere from maybe $3 to $5 million dollars on a first round on a tech deal is where the VC funding will come. The seed rounds is anything less than that, usually anywhere from a few $100,000 to maybe $1 or $2 million tops is really the seed round.
A VC round. So for the Wallfront Ventures, what type of startups do you guys look for?
We like the two-sided marketplace, meaning we like the mobile apps where you have the user and you have providers, and that could be done in any aspect. You have a homeowner and you have someone that wants to cut your grass, or you have a home, you need someone you need a nanny or a maid to come to your home.
Yeah, they call it, there's a problem of underexposure between businesses and customers.
Yeah.
And you guys are linking those kind of things.
Exactly, and for these freelancers, it's like a platform to market themselves. So we definitely like the tech space, the mobile app space, and that's probably our main focus.
That's about it, guys. So it's been a very great conversation. Thank you again for Bary and Muhssin for coming to the iHeart Podcast. If you guys want to be on the iHeart Doha Podcast, feel free to direct message us on Instagram, drop us an email, DM us at any time. This is the iHeart Podcast spirit. Anybody who wants to talk about anything, get to people know about you, about your business, about your ideas. You're an artist, you're an entrepreneur, you are someone with idea, you are a passionate person. We are here to connect you together. Thank you very much, guys, Bary and Muhssin, for coming here.
Thank you for having us.
Sure
It's
to
a
have you
pleasure.
again.
Thanks for having us. It's been great.
Thank you very much, guys.